Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video here on the channel today. And first of all, I just want to say thank you all for the incredible support on my most recent videos, especially my very most recent one that is now at almost 15,000 views, the one about the Artean weapon problems in Monster Hunter Wilds. But even before that, the videos, the ranking videos for the different monster types, rate the Leviathans, rate the Brute Wyverns, etc. The support recently has been just incredible, and I really appreciate it because, lets me keep making more videos and doing this, so you guys are awesome. Just wanted to shout you guys out for that. But for this video, I want to talk about what I think is currently Monster Hunter Wilds' second biggest problem, or maybe possibly even more of a problem than the Artean weapons, depending on who you ask. But that problem is, of course, as the title says, the Frenzied Monsters. So, Frenzied Monsters, if you've played Monster Hunter Wilds, you know what they are. But if you're a newer player to Monster Hunter, like Wilds is your first game, maybe you don't know fully what they are. I think Wilds does a good job explaining that, okay, they're monsters that were infected by the Frenzy virus, which is spread by Gore Magala. Pretty simple, right? And then that, of course, comes with the gameplay mechanics of the Frenzy virus, but that's not really the topic of this video. So, Gore Magala was for those of you who Wilds is maybe your first Monster Hunter game, or you're just a newer player, Gore Magala is the flagship of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Is also my favorite monster, as some of you may or may not know already from my other videos. And yes, he spreads the Frenzy virus, and monsters get it. And Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was the first time that Frenzied monsters were introduced. And they were the very first time that there were, like, enhanced versions of monsters, right? So you could have, like, a Frenzied Rathalos, Frenzied Tigrex, etc., right? And, they would basically take a monster, make them more aggressive, more challenging, and you'd get some special rewards, Frenzy Crystals, Frenzy Shards, and in that game you'd use them to meld talismans, which was, you might be like, what's a talisman if you're a new player? Well, that's the charms. In this game, we meld decorations, or we just get them through doing quests and such, but in 4 Ultimate and in most other Monster Hunter games, you get talismans as RNG. And so there was like this whole endgame system, and then later, there were also the Apex monsters that were monsters who overcame the Frenzy virus, and as a result were stronger and like way more challenging than your average Frenzied monster. And I think they had some special rewards too, and those special rewards would let you augment your weapons. But you can see what I'm getting at here already by describing what was in 4 Ultimate, because you probably are immediately thinking, well, almost none of what you just said is in Wilds with the Frenzied monsters. And yeah, so basically the Frenzied monsters in their current state as of right now, which is Title Update 1, we're kind of in the middle of Title Update 1 for Wilds. The Frenzied monsters feel very half-baked. Like, it feels like they just kind of put them in there almost as a teaser, as like, hey, we're going to do this, but you're not really going to get the full experience with these guys until later. Again, like, I'm happy they're back. I think it's awesome, but it's just a shame because they are they're really bad right now. They're really, really bad. First of all, there's such a limited number of monsters that actually can become frenzied. I think, what is it? You have, like, all the ones in the Ice Shard Cliffs, except for Jindahad, of course, and then you have, of course, Gore Magala himself, and then you have, actually, I think that's it. I think that's it. You just have, it's like Gypsaros, Nursilla, Yenkutku, who normally doesn't go to the Ice Shard Cliffs, so I guess there's that, but he does when he's frenzied. And then there's not Kongolala, Gungaga, and I think that's it. Or Hirabami, right? And it's just pathetic that it's just those monsters. Like, I'm sorry, where's my Frenzied Rathalos? Where's my Frenzied Arkveld? So the pool of Frenzied monsters is extremely limited, and they're all like on the easier side, right? I mean, I guess, even Nursilla on the easier side. Like, we don't have any of the harder monsters that can be in a frenzied state. But even if we did, it wouldn't matter because right now all the frenzied monsters die in like 2 hits. Like you don't even need to be using like some crazy super optimized build to kill them super quick. It's really pathetic actually. Like this is not how the frenzied monsters were in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Like they still, they might have had slightly less health. I mean, someone tell me about that in the comments if that was the case. But the fights themselves would always be like, they still felt like normal fights time wise. You know, it's just the only thing was it felt harder. They were an extra challenge, whereas in Wilds they don't feel like an extra challenge. They feel like a joke. And then the rewards you get from them, like I don't know if I said this already, but the rewards you get from them don't serve any purpose right now. Like the Frenzy Crystals and Frenzy Shards, the only thing they do is they let you get Gormagala armor and weapons, which makes sense, and then there's like some talismans that you need them to. But other than that, there's no other purpose for them, so there's no reason to hunt them, and yet they're in the game. You know, it's really weird, right? And when I say no reason, it's like there's no bigger reason outside of the Gormagala gear, and it's just a shame, because I think that they should be integrated more into the endgame systems, and I get that they wanted to focus more on tempered monsters, but like I think it'd be crazy. What if they did like tempered frenzied, right? Where they're way more aggressive, they're faster, but they're also tempered. So they have like the more wounds on them, and they, unlike the current regular frenzied monsters in the game, they actually have more health, so they would function more like the frenzied monsters of old. I think a big part of the problem and like why they're dying so quickly is just because Wilds in general, like the monsters do not have enough health. Like I think they need to have like a little bit more health, all of the monsters in the game, because all of them die too quickly, I would say. Maybe you could exclude Zoshia from that, but even then, I feel like Zoshia could use like a little health boost. So I think how they can fix a lot of these issues is, first of all, boost the health values of all monsters in the game, not just the frenzied monsters, but especially the frenzied monsters. Then what you should do is make it so that Gormagala can go to every single locale in the game, so that there's a lore reason why we can get frenzied monsters, or like every single monster in the game has a frenzied version. And they would make sense from a lore perspective and a story perspective. So make that a thing. That's how it was in the older games, as far as I remember. Like Gormagala could just go pretty much anywhere. And then make it so that the crystals actually serve a purpose, and maybe when there's harder frenzied monsters, there could be like, I don't know, frenzy crystal chunks or something, you know? We could use those to, and then like it's like a higher tier version and they're worth points, and we could use those as like another melding resource or to augment our weapons, and that would kind of help with some of the problems that I mentioned in the Artian weapon video as well. We could get the Apex monsters, you know, the monsters that overcome the frenzy virus, like in 4 Ultimate, and maybe they could have some, like an even higher tier of frenzy crystals. I just think there's a lot of untapped potential here, and it's kind of weird too, because a lot of it is stuff that like they already did before in 4 Ultimate. And I like, they gotta know. I'm sure they know that we as a community are not satisfied with the current implementation of frenzied monsters, and we want to see more, and like they know their own history, so they know, and I'm sure they're working on stuff. I just hope that they actually address it soon. But what do you think about the current situation in Monster Hunter Wilds with the frenzied monsters? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next Monster Hunter video. Happy hunting.